Heyo, Patrick.
How are you getting on, buddy? So, you have something fresh from your neck of the woods, do you?
Yeah, after a bunch of technical difficulties, we are here again. So we
Yes.
have Representative Kevin Kiley from California's 3rd District. That is the
Right.
east side of the state along the Nevada border. And he is discussing the efficiency of California's government. So let us get hot with it. Here we go.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to make a statement about efficiency in government because there was a statement from the governor of my state that many of us found quite surprising, where he recently said that long before there was DOGE, California was already streamlining government to be more efficient, responsive, and accountable.
So that's Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat governor.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've done him here before.
Right.
And you were telling me there recently he's going for the whole presidential election, is he?
Well, along with AOC and Elizabeth Warren and a few others, he's gonna put his name in the hat, and it's looking like he's more than likely going to be their strongest candidate. So,
okay, that I was saying that. Remember during the LA riots that the way he was talking and acting, that he was going to throw his hat in the ring.
For sure, except they still haven't done what they need to do in Los Angeles County to get people back into their homes. They are still not back in their houses. They said they were going to relax some of the building codes and stuff like that. They've done none of that.
Oh yeah, I understand that. I've seen the news around that. Obviously, what people don't understand is it takes a while to build a house. Just to bear that in mind as well.
It does.
And in fairness, now I will give him credit where credit's due. They have fast tracked quite a lot of building, and there's a lot of building going on. But apparently it's not happening fast enough according to some people.
Right.
And obviously the people who are saying it's not going fast enough really don't know how houses are built by the sounds of it.
It's possible. They lack the knowledge.
They definitely lack the knowledge. You're kind of going, it's a house. It takes time to build the structure.
It does, in fact.
And in fairness, I will give them credit where credit's due. They are building a lot of houses. And I know people are upset that they don't still have a place to live yet, but it looks like they're well on their way. I will give them credit there.
Right. Well, we'll go over that in the next couple of weeks. We'll find out where that is, but I want to wait till the new year, once the holiday season was done, to see where they were at. So
exactly.
All right. Yeah. Here we go.
Apparently, California being a model of efficiency in the governor's view. This came as a surprise to many of us because in the course of just 5 years during Governor Newsom's tenure, the state budget increased by $124 billion.
$124 billion, right? So you'll notice the time frame is from right as COVID started to 2025, right? So there was a lot of federal subsidies and things that were coming down that ballooned our budget up, right? So
over a 50% increase in spending without really any measurable improvement in government performance. When you look at California ranking first in the nation in homelessness, in poverty, in unemployment, having some of the worst roads, some of the worst achievement gaps.
So there's a socioeconomic difference from the very urban metropolitan areas in the state of California to the countryside. You have equated to Ireland, right? So where there are big cities, it's cool, but your Midlands is poorer and it's going to have a lot of difficulties.
That happens quite a lot when you have a lot of agricultural business, especially said like California, we're very heavily reliant on that kind of industry. You're going to have an educational gap because you'll have a lot of migrant workers coming in to do those jobs, which will kind of screw the numbers a small bit.
Right. So and we're a massive net exporter for food. We have some of the most fertile land on the planet.
But obviously, so that's why you would have a lot of people from outside the United States coming in and working those jobs.
The H-1B visas,
Yeah, as I've always said, look, you're not going to have the well-educated Californian going out there picking grapes in the field. You're not going to have that.
Not happening, no.
So you do need a certain amount of immigration all the time into your economy.
The effete sauteed academics are not going to be doing that now.
No, they're definitely not. Yeah.
In our schools. But I did want to highlight just a few examples that I think are particularly revealing when it comes to the low quality of government service that citizens of California are receiving, and also, to some extent, the lessons that we can draw from that here at the federal level, where I think continuing to improve the quality of government service, giving taxpayers a higher return on their tax dollars, remains a vital imperative. So remember, the governor said that California is a model of efficiency. His exact words: California is already streamlining government to be more efficient, responsive, and accountable. Well, apparently this includes a $128 billion bullet train that still shows no signs of coming into existence.
So it's $128 billion, which means there's almost no track laid and nothing has happened. So the money went
that's
somewhere.
The money that's being spent. That's the money that's being spent already.
Right, in bonds and all kinds of other things, right? So 128 billion is already on the table, and we don't have it, right? That's a lot of money on the table for a 400 to 450 mile bullet train, right?
Wow, because I know a lot of modern countries have bullet trains of some sort. I'm thinking of Japan now.
Right, for sure.
What people will probably, especially people in the United States, will probably think of Japan, but there's a lot of bullet trains in China and so on.
Right.
Wow,
right.
128 billion.
That's more money than your country has. That's a lot.
That's about it's about 2.5 years of our.
It's a lot,
budget. Wow.
And that's one state, right? But that state comprises 10 to 11% of the population of the entire country, right? So it's a massive, massive amount of people on the West Coast in the state of California. So here we go.
Now that's the estimated total cost. The amount that's already been spent is somewhere in the neighborhood of $16-17 billion.
Proposed 128 billion. Got it. So, but that's still 16. It's 16 billion already on the table out of 128 billion that's proposed for it, right? So understand the state of California, not only as a California do you pay federal income tax, which gets graduated up to 33 to 36%, you're paying 13 to 14% to the California State Franchise Tax Board for every dollar earned, and capital gains taxes and all that stuff too.
Oh, by the way, I was just looking while he was talking there. I looked up here. Mm-hmm. The Japanese high-speed rail. I think everyone recognizes that. It goes from the top of Japan all the way down to the one end of Japan to the next.
Mm-hmm. Top to bottom, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how much that cost?
I
would guess.
22 billion.
70 billion US dollars. But bear in mind, Japan is roughly, looking at there, it's a small, it's a bit longer than California. It's a small bit longer, but roughly the same size as California.
But 70 billion completed. So we're at 16 of 128 and we have nothing.
So nothing, yeah.
That is not the model of efficiency, I believe.
No, it's definitely not.
Yeah. There's some brown envelopes involved, I'm supposing. All right, here we go.
Oh, I'd be shocked if there wasn't. You know what I mean? I can be very cynical when it comes to politics sometimes.
For sure. There's a little bit of corruption in politics, I think I've heard you say before, but just a bit. Just enough.
A tad, but not. In fairness, now this one does take a biscuit, though. This one does really take the biscuit.
Nice.
Of $17 billion. But we're now 18 years into this thing, and not a single bit of track has been laid despite all of this massive spending. And the New York Times has estimated that the project isn't even on track to be finished this century. Another example.
So at this rate,
wow.
By 2100, when almost none of us will be around, there might be a bullet train in California. Maybe.
The state auditor of California.
Wow. That is crazy. That is nutty.
So he's telling us something about the state auditor. Here we go.
Found that the state spent $24 billion to combat homelessness and completely lost track of the money. Couldn't say where it went, couldn't say what impact it had on outcomes. There were no metrics.
So 24 billion. So a lot of that is federal monies that comes in through NGOs, and it's supposed to go specific purpose to what they're now calling the homelessness industrial complex. So all the money just disappeared, and they can't say what it did, what impact, what anything it had to.
I'm just looking at the Japanese one here.
Mm-hmm.
They started in 27th of May 2011 when they initially started construction,
Mm-hmm.
and had passengers running from the first half of 2014, and then the second half was 2020, and then finished part was 2024.
So 13 years.
So they built it in 3 massive sections, by the looks of it. And in total, for all 3 sections, was at the end of it is going to cost the country a total of $82 billion in total.
Okay.
And that includes the final section between Tokyo, and I'm not going to try to pronounce that Japanese town. It sounds lovely, but I'm definitely not going to butcher its name. Is 2027.
Okay.
Out of respect for Japan. So they've built one massive rail all the way from top to bottom, is the best way for people to understand that. And now they're building across multiple sections across Japan, lengthways.
Got it. So like a giant cross. Okay.
But yeah. So basically, it takes 44 minutes in total. Wow. The first 2 halves. And then if you want to do the total from top to bottom, is 67 minutes.
Wow.
Travel time.
Oof, that's amazing.
But by the way, that in total, by the way, up to 2027 which is the final costing, is $82 billion.
Wow. 28 and 28. So we're at 56 billion over that for projected cost, and it won't be done in an efficient fashion.
And you don't even have a rail. You don't even have a track put down.
No. Oh my God.
Sorry.
Here we go.
And during the time that this spending occurred, homelessness in California absolutely skyrocketed to the extent that the state has about half of the total unsheltered homeless in the entire country.
So there's a misnomer there. So when they talk about homeless encampments and all that kind of stuff, they're not actually homeless encampments. What they are is they're open air drug markets functionally, and they're exceptionally violent, and they're even worse toward females who are in that space. Right? Yeah, it's a horrific thing. Right. So,
but the vast problem with California as well has become a dumping ground for other states as well, which I've noticed over many years.
Right. So a few years ago, it was at about 33%.
Because I see more and more people, when they're being interviewed on the streets of California, homelessness. Where are you from? I'm from Texas. I'm from this part. I'm from that part. None of them, very few that I've seen being interviewed on the street actually are originally from California itself.
Well, but
here's a bus ticket.
Right.
Go that way.
Right. But again, when they do
which is very unfair to the state of California to be dumping ground like this.
For sure. Well, there's 2 things going on. One is when they do these reports, they're going to slant them one way or the other, right? That's the first thing. So
yes.
Anybody that you are going to interview that says, no, I'm from Torrance, California, or I'm from Sacramento or wherever, right? They're not really going to focus on that. The other one is that California's climate is such that you can be homeless all year long in your little blue tent, and you'll be fine. You won't die from exposure, right? What happens is when you got to slam these people with Narcan because they've overdosed on something, right? That's where it tends to become an issue. And they go on a mission every day to get more dope. And in a lot of these constituencies, what happens is they get the money from the city, county, or state, and then they use that money to buy a little bit of food and then buy drugs, right?
Yes.
So yeah, it's not a win-win situation, and we spent lots of money on housing situations and things like that.
So. And what way does the social welfare system work in California?
So you go on Covered California, and when you're on Covered California, it is free healthcare, and you are covered across the board for all of the things, right? But
how do you live from day to day? Is it cash or is it credit card, or what way does it work?
You'll get an EBT cash card, or you'll get an EBT food card, which is like the SNAP benefits we were talking about before. So once you apply for those benefits, if you're homeless, there's a very high percentage chance that you will get it, right? If you say I am unhoused, which is a new way of saying I like drugs more than I like living inside and all the amenities that come from living inside of a structure, I would rather do dope.
Right.
And that's a huge percentage of it. But the other thing they're not really talking about is the mental health aspects of it, right? So when you move these unhoused people and you concentrate them, they're all on a drug mission to go get dope, right? And if you say things like, you can't do drugs or you have to go, they just leave. So they get a place for a little while. It's inside. They're inside a structure. They destroy the structure internally, And then they're like, I don't like it here anymore. I want to go do dope. So they go back to the open air drug markets where those things are readily available, right? And it leads to lots of mental health issues, even more. It just exacerbates those problems as you're on meth or crack or whatever the drug is of choices that you're playing with. So let's get back to Mr. Kiley.
The state also squandered $32 billion at a minimum on unemployment fraud. So what's going on in Minnesota is small potatoes compared to what we witnessed in California during the COVID years.
Yeah, we just did an episode on that out of Minnesota as well, where they had a $7 million case that came up that a judge made some strange ruling on. The DA immediately refiled. But that's $7 million. And the total issue with that fraud in that state is much lower than $32 billion. And that's just the money that they have obviously tracked as fraud. That isn't the total amount of the fraud. It is the state controller's office was like, there's 32 billion. We can see. Not that they're going to stop it, but we can see it. Right?
Yes.
So, and he has the right to be unhappy about that, right? Here we go. Oh, remember when I said that he represents California 3, District 3?
Yes.
It being on the east coast of the state, there are no large metropolitan areas in his represented area. But his constituents have to pay for, through state taxes, capital gains, and all other kinds of taxation, sales taxes and stuff, for the western side of the state and those highly populated areas to make all these wild decisions as far as where their money goes. And it's going to places they absolutely don't want. Fraud and bullet trains. Like they absolutely don't care about a bullet train that's 200 miles to the west of them that does them no good. Right? They're
yes, I was about to say that is crazy. That is crazy, actually.
Right. Well, it's such a varied state. It's massive, right? A couple of Irelands can fit here. So, all right, let's let them finish this thing up. Not a lot left.
The state failed to take basic fraud protection measures that other states had taken. And as a result, fraudsters were easily able to purloin the state treasury and use those billions to fund further criminal activities. Now, I say that there are lessons for the federal government because during the last administration, the labor secretary in California most responsible for that entire fiasco was actually nominated to be the Secretary of Labor here in Washington, D.C., although never confirmed by the Senate. So to some extent, the lesson was learned. Or we have recent reports, just in the last couple weeks, that the $650 million 911 system that the state has been charging Californians on their phone bill for several years now is being scrapped entirely because the technology doesn't work. They spent $650 million building this so-called next generation 911 system, and our system does very much need to be updated. But because the state couldn't manage to get the technology right, it is all going to waste. Those funds will never be recovered, and our 911 system remains antiquated as a result.
Here's another one. So when the state of California...
That's an absolute waste of money there. 650 million.
But here's another good one. And I think we talked about it before. So when they sent out the initial ballots for the mail-in ballots to the state of California, the state of California has a ton of mail-in ballots, right?
Right, yeah.
The first map they sent out for the redrawing of the lines was incorrect. So they had to reprocess all of it to the tune of $250 to $300 million. They screwed up so badly, and no one's been fired. Nobody's been held accountable for a $250 to $300 million just oof tomato, screwed it up. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, zero accountability.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really, really bad. Yeah.
If that was in the private sector, by the way, a lot of heads would roll. Just say.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Yeah, it was a paperwork error that cost the state of California a massive amount of money. So, all right, here we go.
And was there any investigation into it?
I haven't heard anything about it. I've been looking. There's a gentleman that we're going to probably be doing a couple of his videos here in a few weeks that talks about the state of California. But I get that we need to talk about lots of other things. But I thought this one was specifically important because we have someone who's going to be running for president that is saying something that may not be quite as true as it could be. Not that there's any corruption in politics, sir.
That shocks me. A presidential candidate that lies. Sorry. I'm really trying not to take a mic.
And our president doesn't even play football like yours does, right?
Hey, yeah, I'm telling you, she's a great girl for the county.
Right?
You know what? I pay good money to see Trump kicking a football.
I would too. And I want a round football from your country or the oblong one from ours, or either one.
I'm talking about a round proper. I'm talking about proper football, not whatever you call football.
Oh, get out of here! Get out of here with that. All right.
Hey, did you actually see what Trump said about that? That he wants to change your National Football League. He wants to take the football out of your National League.
Oh,
give back to us. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He doesn't say wild things. He doesn't say wild things though. Not him. Oh man, he moves real fast.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
He does.
And bear in mind, Sacramento is a stone's throw from Silicon Valley, where the technology that is required here is fairly rudimentary in terms of what is needed.
You know, we use a program here when we do our recordings, right? And that program has no issues or barely any at all.
No.
If they implemented a program like the one that we use, there wouldn't be a problem, an issue with 911 calls. It would just.
I think the problem is we had a similar problem with our own emergency service system. When we updated our system,
right?
It must be 10 plus years ago. You know, it's pretty much works very well. It's automated. It didn't cost anything. It cost a few bob, but nothing like this. Not a thing like this. So 600 something million.
Why doesn't Gavin Newsom just contact your president and ask for some technology updates?
This gentleman pointed out, why not just contact the guys in Silicon Valley?
What?
Tons of fantastic, intelligent guys down there who work in this technology sector.
Get out of here with that.
You know, common sense. You know.
Yeah, that happens.
I would just mention one final example, which is the California state capitol itself. Because our governor has had a lot to say about certain renovations going on at the White House, and yet the California state legislature approved several years ago a $1.2 billion renovation of the state capitol itself. I voted against that measure, by the way. But now the cost of that seems to have ballooned, and we don't know even by how much, because the state is refusing to say, despite.
So no transparency. And if you try and drive through downtown Sacramento right now, you can't get through there at all. Some of those sections, it's bad. It's pretty bad.
Well, what do you mean you can't get through it?
So they've had to redirect traffic around the state capitol. So downtown Sacramento is built like a battleship game, like 5th Street, Ave Street. Yeah, it's a battleship grid, right? So right in the center around 16th and all that stuff, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough to get through there. And there's lots of scaffolding up, and they're doing a lot of work, right? So for Gavin Newsom to say, I don't like that they're updating the White House while updating the legislature and some certain courts in downtown seems a little strange. Like, I don't like that you're doing the thing that I'm doing, fella.
Yeah, I think that the criticism of doing the White House that time was the fact that most of it wasn't paid by the federal government. Most of it was done by donations from very large companies who look like they're getting special treatments.
That's not suspect. That's not suspect at all.
But look, all politicians take kickbacks every now and again. It's politics.
Right, I get that. But
if people don't like it, you know what I mean?
When there's a change order that doubles the price of something, it's like you as a company said you could do a thing for this much, and you're change ordering to double the cost. It's like you keystone the construction job. Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Why wasn't it part of the bid? Right? That doesn't make sense.
Hey, we have just exactly the same issues over here.
Yeah, it's
exactly the same issues. Every country has it. Yeah, every country's having the same issues at the moment. It's like saying politicians are corrupt, like shooting fish in a barrel. We all know they're corrupt in some way. Because everyone wants to feather their own nest. It's human nature.
Right.
But this is pretty blatant.
Yeah, it's pretty blatant.
This is pretty blatant.
Persistent efforts of local journalists to get an answer and other legislators as to how much this project is costing our taxpayers. They won't even say how much. But we have gotten some hints of some of the measures that the project leaders have taken, such as shipping stones to Italy in order to be treated and refined. So it does not seem that this particular project is exactly a model of efficiency either. So I bring these examples up to highlight the need for reform in my home state, to reorient the way our government works towards a paradigm of citizen service, because we see corruption and incompetence and special interests and a whole host of other agendas that stand in the way of the use of tax dollars to actually serve our citizens. And indeed, California is the exact opposite of a model of efficiency, as we sacrifice the most and get the least in return.
So he's right. So because we are, as a state, one of the highest earning places in the world, like if we were disconnected from the United States, we would probably be the 4th or 5th largest income on the planet. We give a lot into the federal government, a lot. I think we're the only state that gives less than we get back, right?
Yeah.
So that looks a little unfair on its face as well. So I'm hoping that we can right the ship, and I hope whoever the new governor is when Gavin Newsom gets out is a little more, holds himself to more account, or herself to more account.
Well, the funny thing is, even if you just look at the past governors, they're all pretty much, it's going to be a Democratic governor again, that goes without saying.
Right, it's a super majority. We have a super majority. It's a bit of a problem.
Look, to be honest, no matter who we put in there as governor, when there's that much money floating around the system, there's going to be a bit of, a lot of corruption. There's no other word to put in it, no matter who you put in there.
There's another strange thing that's going on here. There's opulence versus the homeless population, even in that area, right? So take, for example, we talk about local places, right? You talk about places in County Cork, Cork City, Belfast, wherever, right? So where all of these opulent buildings and places are, just down the road from the governor's mansion on K Street, which is a place called the K Street Mall, there are homeless people lining the place up, right? And businesses have had to shut down because they literally just can't function in the space. They can't.
Of course they can, because no one wants to go and have a cup of coffee and stare out the window and there's loads of people
not
obviously,
just wandering around. They're not just
but you know what I'm trying to find a nice way of, because people understand no matter what side of the aisle they're coming from. If you ask them realistically, would they go into a coffee shop in the middle of a homeless area? They're going to say no.
Absolutely not. No, because again, the open air drug market aspect of those spaces, it's just not the greatest. So,
and don't get me wrong, a lot of people who are homeless mightn't be drug addicts. I've come across that myself from a previous job. A lot of people who are homeless is through the economy or so on, or just bad luck. Even down to drink or drugs. It could be 1,000 different reasons.
Right. Well, I want them to have an opportunity to participate in any way they can that's positive. But the thing is when all these other states are shooting homeless people here at an amazing rate, right? Here's your ticket, just like you were saying, here's your bus ticket, get on out of here. And then they just end up on our streets. So
like that was one thing I noticed about one of a while back. It was actually during Biden's time. There was a bit of an upset there in Texas, and their idea of dealing with their homelessness and drug junkies and everything else was to send them all to California. And they were very proud of the fact that Texas that they were sending all their problems to California. You're kind of going, you're kind of screwing over your neighbor.
Yeah. Well, we also have a natural gas pipeline that comes from Texas. We have to sue them every few years because they wait till the commodities market is out, and then they start shipping the gas at the highest possible price. So we end up being in conflict with Texas a lot.
But what's that state that's next to Texas that's famous for opium? You know, the pill markets?
Oh, well, the big one in the United States, I think, is West Virginia. West Virginia is the worst.
It's a neighbor of Texas anyway.
Louisiana's pretty bad about it too.
It was coming over to Texas border, so Texas' way of solving that problem was send them all to California. Going,
oh my God!
Really?
that's not quite really a great solution, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and in fairness to Biden was the president at the time, he did really come down hard on Texas over that.
Right.
And deal with your own problems. What are you doing? Texas kind of ignored him.
Yeah, let's have Mr. Kiley finish up what he's got to say, and then we will get on out of here.
So I'll continue to do everything I can to change that paradigm in California, as well as to find ways to learn from it and to reorient our federal government towards a model of citizen service and efficiency as well.
Yeah, it's like with any situation, you can learn from somebody failing you, or you can learn from somebody helping you, right? And I think that's what he's trying to say. Hey, let's learn from what's going on in one place and bring it to another. If California's doing great things, we can bring that forward too. Whatever that great thing is, he didn't bring up great things. He was on the other side of the ledger with that. But I think that as a model, if you see if something isn't working, how can I do something better? I think it's just a better way to look at that, right?
Yeah, but the sad thing is, say, even if you looked at any other state in the union, I presume they'll have similar wastage in their budget system as well.
For sure.
Just like it's not being smart. It's just the nature of politics.
Right. Well, we are the most highly taxed state in the union, with our sales tax on fuel and with our state income tax. And other states are starting to get in on the state income tax thing too. In the United States in 1911, when taxation came in initially, it was just going to be on, in quotes, the rich. And then by 1914, 1915, everybody was getting a piece of the action. Not that they wanted it, but that they were. So.
Okay. But income tax now compared to other states is the highest in California compared to everyone else, is it?
In composition, Californians pay more tax, capital gains, property tax, sales tax, state income tax. We pay the most. It's pretty bad.
Wow.
So yeah, they're kind of fleecing us, but the weather's great. Patrick, the weather is amazing. It is the nicest place to live.
Even if you just have to live in a tent, it's pretty nice.
No, I've lived all over the country. I've lived in many places in the world, and literally this climate, this place is the most beautiful place I've ever been. It is absolutely incredible. Yeah,
the problem is I'm white and I'm Irish. Could you imagine me going and living in California? I would die. Okay,
well, we only have 100 days. We only have 100 days over 100 degrees Fahrenheit here, so you'd be fine. You'd be burnt to a crisp, but you'd be fine. So.
Yeah, I'd be alive. Okay.
maybe with a pretty slight case of cancer, right?
A slight case.
All right, for Patrick McCallum, I am Alex Johansson. We are the A&P Gents. Ring the bell, like, subscribe. Help us beat the algorithm. We are out.